everyone. As always, I'm your host, Pietra Veloso. Today on the job, we're joined by Daniel Hildebrand, a lawyer who spent his career helping people navigate the legal system and understand their rights. From representing clients in court to making important decisions in mental health hearings, Daniel's work highlights how the law can truly make a difference in people's lives. We'll talk about what inspired him to pursue his path, what his day-to-day looks like, and what advice he has for young people interested in law or public service. So thank you, Daniel, so much for being here on the job with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So I'm going to ask you a few questions today.
Sure.
All right. So I want to start with asking you that, telling you that a lot of people don't actually know what a lawyer does. As you know, there's a lot of different jobs that they do. How would you explain your job to someone who doesn't know what they do?
Sure. Well, I guess at the most general, basic level, a lawyer helps people solve legal problems. And I guess broadly speaking, there's kind of two types of lawyers, you could say. We have solicitors who do more transactional work, and barristers who do more advocacy and representing people in disputes, sort of more the TV law image you have of in court and kind of the high drama idea. And a solicitor's work is mainly about making sure when there's two sides of a transaction, that their client gets what they have bargained for, and make sure that that the measures are put in place to make sure that their client's interests are protected. And I'm more on the barrister side of things, and we would help our clients basically navigate disputes usually, or whether that's that they've been charged with a crime, and we want to make sure that their interests and their rights are protected as best we can in that process, or if they're in a maybe getting divorced, and making sure that their property is divided fairly and according to the law in a way that protects their interests. So that's basically kind of at the most general level, that is what lawyers are doing.
I think that's a very interesting job, helping people know their rights and reminding others of their rights. I love that. Did you always know you wanted to become a lawyer, or was it something that you came about later?
Actually, no. I was in high school. I didn't know it was an option because I was really bad at math, and I barely passed math in high school, and I knew that my kind of lack of ability on that side of my brain limited some of the career options. So I kind of knew that, a lot of things like doctor and accountant were out. So it had been, the seed was planted that, lawyer was maybe a path that was open for somebody who wasn't so good at the math and sciences. And I was also, I guess in high school, I was aware of it. I was sort of a person that was interested in, politics and ideas of justice and fairness. And it was, the seeds were there, but I wasn't really aware of it as an option until I was much later, probably well into my 20s, well into my, first undergraduate degree.
So did someone tell you you would be a great lawyer?
What's funny is that there's a test that you have to take to get into law school called the LSAT, and I was taking my first university degree was in philosophy, and there was a course logic that we had to take, and there were some people that were in that class, and I was doing very good in that class, and they were taking it just because they wanted to get ready for the LSAT. So it kind of made me think, if I'm doing good in this class, maybe I should just try and see how I do. So that might have been really like the first, when the ball started rolling.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah.
And I assume you passed?
The LSAT, well, you don't pass or fail, you get a score.
Okay.
And it's based on that score, they plug your marks into an equation. That's how it's determined whether you get into law school or not. So I got an okay score on the. I can't. I'm not. I won't be so vain as to say what my score was, but I did okay on the LSAT, and it was enough. I was able to get into law school. Yeah.
At least you did. And I want to ask you, what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, I've been mostly, like I said, I'm more on the barrister side, and I think what's really cool about that for me is that there really is no typical day, or there's definitely big differences between some days. Like, being in court is very different than a day where you're in court all day, whether at a trial or some type of hearing, is quite different from the day before that when you're preparing for court. So, but you have to. There's always a lot of different irons that are in the fire, and you have to kind of maintain your files. So there's usually, you have to always kind of prioritize every day, like what do I need to make sure I'm getting done today, and what do I need to take some steps to move along that file. But it's a lot of phone calls, letters, meeting with clients, prepping witnesses, and yeah, that's kind of your day. But it's always a matter. Like, the big challenge of every day is to manage your time and make sure that you're prioritizing the things that you need to prioritize. And there's parts of the job that are really fun that you want to work on something, but there's that nagging feeling of there's this other thing I don't want to do, but I gotta call that person who's not so happy to talk to me, and I have to deal with that thing.
That's us when we're doing our homework. There's always that one subject you'd rather do than the other one. I get it. Okay, let's move on for some advice for young people. So for young people who want to make a difference but don't know where to start, what would you tell them?
I think I would say you should just focus on just doing the things that really excite you and you're passionate about, and kind of follow your heart. I think if there's an issue that you're passionate about, or a cause that matters to you, find out groups that are doing good work in that area, and get in contact with them, see if there's a way you can volunteer, if there's special skills that you have, whether you speak a language, or maybe you're good at social media. Just sort of let them know that you're interested in getting involved, and just kind of do the things that feel right, and kind of authentic to yourself, and the rest will take care of itself.
That's good advice. I like it. And what kind of skills do you believe, or like a mindset that you need to have, do you think makes someone good at this kind of work?
At being a lawyer?
Yes.
I think there's obviously skills that are associated with lawyers, like public speaking and attention to detail, time management. But I think, it's not like you have to have all of those, or you have to be amazing at all those things. We have a sort of overarching principle of zealous advocacy of our clients, and that we're supposed to really put our clients' interests front and center, and prioritize that. And there's definitely, and so that means you have to care, and you have to be willing to go the distance to do no shortcuts, and to do what's right for your client. So if the most important thing is that you have to be prepared to care about the clients that you're serving. And I think if you have that kind of mindset, you can kind of make up for shortcomings in different areas. There's definitely great lawyers that I know that might not be actually that good at public speaking, but they can make up for it in other things because their heart's in the right place. So I think really just having your heart in the right place is the most important thing. And if once that's there, then it'll all sort of, everything else will come together.
That's good to know. You have to be compassionate. Right? You have to care about other people.
Yeah.
I like that.
The golden rule, yeah.
Yes. And what's something about being a lawyer that surprised you once you actually started doing it?
I guess like there's in pop culture, we have a certain image of laws being very adversarial and very competitive, and maybe even, kind of vicious. And it's not that there's no aspect of that's never present in our work as lawyers. There's definitely, it is an adversarial process when two parties are, at odds, and you have two lawyers that are representing, people that might be in a bitter dispute. But I think what's maybe was a little bit surprising for me, and pleasantly so, was that we have a very deep tradition in the law and within our profession of being very respectful, very professional with our colleagues, and it was very nice and pleasantly surprising in my first few years of practice to learn how I have some lawyer on the other side who's in a way where our clients are very much at odds, and we're kind of in some type of fight, but yet we're able to treat each other professionally and courteously, and which is really, really important, because if it was the other way around, it would be very, very draining, and I don't think very many people would be able to last very long doing this work. So.
Yes, that's good, because I think in a lot of people's brains, being a lawyer is just like the arguing and the screaming at each other and the order in the court with the little, what do you call that? The
gavel?
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
We don't actually have the gavel in
No?
courtrooms. That's an American thing.
Oh my
But because of so much of our culture comes from, the U.S. and the representations you see on TV,
No.
a lot of people are surprised to know
Oh,
that,
there goes my dream of being a lawyer. No, I need the gavel. That's really
well,
cool.
that's the judge only, right?
Yeah, that's the judge.
So, yeah.
But I would go up there.
You'd be the judge, okay.
Yeah. That would, what? Okay, now I'm really surprised. But I think we have this like image of them being super like vicious, right? And so it's good to know that it's a respectful courtroom and they do put order in the court. Moving on.
Sure.
Law school sounds very intimidating. How did you stay motivated through that process?
It's kind of similar to what I said before, and that sort of collegiality and courteousness, it really starts in law school. And I think, the way that a lot of, I got through it was that there was amazing classmates and friends that I made in law school who supported me and I supported them, and we learned to sort of lean on each other to get through that time. It's just like, it can be quite, isolating when you're in school and you're kind of always stuck with your, just alone with your books and trying to absorb all this material. But there really are all kinds of opportunities in life, but law school in particular, that where you can kind of build a community, and you can really it just makes it a lot more possible when you're going through these stressful stretches, that there are people that are going through the same experience, and keep those lines of communication open, and be able to and support each other. And so I think that's probably the best, or the thing that really keeps it, it makes it a lot more doable.
That's good. Yeah, having people there to support you is really good. I've always seen those videos of people, especially on TikTok, those like students studying to be lawyers, and they have this giant book with thousands of pages, like this thick, and it's full of things, and they're like, study for 8 hours with me for law school, and I'm like, 8 hours? It's crazy. But yeah, I don't know if they're like.
I think that might be a bit of a
stretch.
Maybe
8 hours.
Yeah, TikTok.
Maybe
thing,
5.
But yeah.
Maybe 5.
Yeah, you don't really memorize a book like that. It's there might be large books that you encounter in law school, but you sort of learn how you have to be able to, you don't need to have the answer at your fingertips, but you need to be able to learn how to find the answer, and that's kind of the basic skill set that you're developing in law school, is not necessarily to know the answer immediately, but to know how to find the answer. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Okay. And how can someone start preparing for a career in law while they're still in high school or in university?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people, some people definitely get into law very quickly out of high school. They always knew that that's what they wanted to do, and they're just as quick as they can, they get into law school and they get out into practice, and that those people are great lawyers too. But there's also others who come to it a little bit later, and it's, I think that those people also, and I would count myself in that group. I was 27, I think, when I started law school. And having just general life experiences is very helpful, because the law is the tool and the system that's supposed to help mediate, life.
Mm-hmm.
So, I practice a lot in employment law, and I think it's actually been really beneficial for me that I had the experience before I was a lawyer of actually having a job. And I had other, I had okay jobs, I had good jobs, I had some bad jobs, and I had, different experiences in the workplace that helped me once I got into practicing employment law. I'd had real experiences in employment. So, I wouldn't recommend that for, maybe being a criminal lawyer, that you should go out and get experiences in crime necessarily, but, you might be able to, there are, you might get involved with certain, community organizations that do work with reintegrating people who are going through the criminal justice system, or just really whatever it is that you're passionate about, or you feel is exciting and interesting to you. Just be involved with those things and have life experiences, because it will really serve you well once if you go into law and start practicing in law, that you just have a certain depth of experience in the community.
Is there any school subjects that we can start taking now that would maybe help?
Again, I would just say whatever excites you, really, because if you're whatever makes you want to engage with material. So if you're excited about art or something, it's not it could come in handy if you're doing I don't know, certain types of law. If there's obviously writing is important, and math can even be important, even though I was saying it didn't matter before. Depending on what area of practice you get into, but I think mostly I would just say do the things that are that you're passionate about, and keep you engaged in having experiences, and I think everything will fall into place from there. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Okay, moving on. So I know you also work in a role that connects law with mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain what that's like?
Sure. I'm one of my jobs. I'm in addition to my day job, I'm a chair at the Mental Health Review Board, and that's a government tribunal that exists for people who are involuntarily being held and for psychiatric treatment. And obviously that's a very consequential thing when a psychiatrist has made that decision that somebody's not able to be in the community and has to be confined to a facility to get treatment. So there is, it's important that those people who don't agree with that determination have an outlet or a chance to challenge what the psychiatrist has concluded. So there's a panel that it goes to, and there's normally it's a lawyer, a member of just a member of the community, and a psychiatrist, and we can basically conduct a mini trial where we, the psychiatrist has to justify what the basis of their opinion, and the person in confinement is permitted to challenge that and present evidence that they think is relevant, and so we make sure that they have a chance to be heard in that decision, which is obviously very very consequential in their life.
I never knew that's something you could do. I never knew someone could make a choice and then you could fight on that, especially in big topics about mental health. I didn't know you could do that. That's really, really interesting. That's
you didn't know that the psychiatrist could order somebody to be confined to the.
No, yeah. I didn't know that you could, and you could fight that, and you could be like, I don't think that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Well, you could see how that would be if there was no way to challenge that, that might be a little bit too much power you'd want to put into the hands of one psychiatrist. So
I guess so. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
And every job has a purpose, right? And wow, I never knew that.
And it all connects back to like our Constitution, which you know, the Charter, which guarantees certain rights and freedoms, like the right to you know, to liberty, or not to be deprived of your freedom except in accordance with due process. So that's why we have to have, or you know, the law would say we need to have some way to challenge, you know, that if a psychiatrist is able to make a decision to confine
it is
freedom.
their right. Yeah. Okay. And what are some of the most common legal problems that people have?
Well, I mean, everybody, most people will buy a house in their life, so you know, there's always that. Like real estate is, it's not something I practice in myself, but it's you know, there's always a steady stream of that type of work. Everyone will sadly die, so a will is always, we always say everyone should have a will. So these are kind of very normal type of, very common things that people come to lawyers for. My day job is at a place called Legal Help Center, which we have clinics that are for mainly low-income people, and we always have found about 50% of the people we're assisting are for family law. So that's always a huge need in the community for assistance with people going through separation, and we also do our fair share of you know, employment law for, you know, when people lose their jobs, and making sure that they get the things that they're entitled to in that process. And, you know, just sort of small disputes that come up when, you know, that end up at small claims court. Yeah, like, you know, with like someone's building a fence and the neighbor doesn't like that they think it's on their property, or you know, the contractor didn't build the deck the way that they were supposed to. Yeah, it's small problems that people, but for the people experiencing them, they're not small. Yeah.
They're big problems. Yeah. But compared to like criminal law.
Sure, yeah.
Smaller problem.
Yeah.
But still a big problem. Imagine building a fence in a place that you didn't want to build a fence in. How dare they?
Yeah. Well, hopefully it never happens to you. Yeah.
Okay, moving on. How do you handle the responsibility of helping people through such difficult life situations?
So yeah, I mean, zealous advocacy is important, but you also have to keep your boundaries and remember that it's ultimately your client's problem isn't your problem, at least not at, you know, at a personal level. So you have to maintain those boundaries, and I think that's harder at the beginning of a lawyer's career, and then you get better at it the longer you do it. That you just learn that you have to kind of, you know, set a boundary between your personal life and your professional life, and kind of leave problems at work, not bring them home, and because it really doesn't help your client either to entangle yourself in a way that's, you know, you'll lose your objectivity, you'll lose your you know, your ability to sort of give them kind of sober advice, where that's from the appropriate distance and perspective. So yeah, maintaining your boundaries is really important for that, I think.
That's good. Yeah. And what do you feel like is the most rewarding part of the law that you practice?
Well, I've you know, when you're able to help somebody in a way that really materially helps them in their life and makes a difference, they, you know, usually are very appreciative. And we had you know, twice this past week at my work, somebody just sort of showed up unannounced and surprised us with a catered Thai food lunch that he had made.
Whoa!
And because he worked he was a cook, I think, at a restaurant, and he managed to, and it was really, really good food, and that was, you know, that was really nice, and that felt really good because he, you know, it was just his way of showing appreciation.
Yeah.
So you can, and I've had that experience. You know, sometimes years later, you'll get to see somebody where you had helped them before, and you know, they still remember and they still appreciate and thank you for that. So
That's sweet.
having a you know, a chance to really connect with, you know, with people in their lives in a way that's meaningful to them, it is very rewarding, and it feels good. Yeah.
I bet. Their happiness is your happiness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And then on the other hand, what's the toughest part of your job?
Yeah, I mean, like, so you might think giving people bad news, not necessarily that, you know, when if they lose or something, but more, you know, there are people that have unrealistic expectations of what the law should be able to do for them or what you should be able to do for them, and you have to kind of set boundaries with them early on, or manage their expectations, and sometimes, you know, it's very quickly a really hard conversation of that there's really nothing that you can do for them, and so that's tough, and definitely it's especially tough at the beginning, when you're still kind of finding your footing in the profession. I think the longer, like most things, the longer you've been doing it, you do get better at having that conversation, but it's always difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, there's always tough parts to jobs, and it always involves like the people and when they get upset too.
Yeah.
Because like I said before, their happiness is your happiness. So when they feel upset,
Yeah.
you don't want to make them upset, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. And how do you balance being objective and following the law while still staying empathetic towards the people you're helping?
Yeah. I guess kind of following from that, I mean, you realize that you know, you can be empathetic and give bad news, because you're really not helping somebody if you give them anything less than the truth. So there's kindness in being candid and frank with people, and not leading them down any path that's or not creating any unrealistic expectations. So kind of being committed to being honest and truthful with clients in terms of what is achievable in their case, and what is not achievable. And kind of when you commit yourself to that, then you find that, you know, those conversations are easier, because you know, it is coming from a place of compassion and empathy, but and you know, and it does require objectivity and being you know, truthful and based in just in reality. So yeah.
Okay. And looking ahead, how do you see the legal field changing in the next few years, especially when it comes to accessibility and fairness?
Yeah, I guess there's like a hot topic now of AI, as everyone's talking about it. I can't say I'm an expert in sort of how it's here, and it's definitely it is already being used in delivering legal services.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in certain, we're kind of limited, and my own experience with it is limited, but I do know that there are some lawyers that are experimenting and starting to use it in some ways. And like most, you know, technology always does bring, you know, it has the potential, at least, of improving accessibility, because it should, in theory, kind of reduce the cost of providing services when it can, you know, when things can become more efficient. There's always there's a cost to that, or there's definitely risks, I guess, if it's not used. There have already been also, like,
if you don't use it responsibly.
Yeah, and there have already been cases of lawyers not using it responsibly. There was I think like with lawyers submitting cases in their briefs to judges, and that were completely, you know, hallucinations that, you know, didn't exist.
Oh my gosh.
So there's definitely there's pitfalls, and so it's here whether we like it or not, and there's probably there are opportunities there. I'm not sure exactly what they'll be, but I think, you know, there's definitely the potential to improve some of the accessibility problems that the legal system's always had, and hopefully we can you know, seize on that and not be you know, overwhelmed by the negative side of it, which is a real risk.
Yeah, always the negative side, huh?
Yeah.
But we will win. It'll be okay. They will put.
We shall overcome. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And what keeps you motivated to keep learning and growing in your career?
I mean, the law is changing. It's sort of you know, there's always, like, I guess with any field, you have to stay on top of it. It's sort of keep moving, or you're not going to be able to deliver the quality of service that your clients are entitled to. So, I mean, I think it comes back to that first principle that, you know, you have to care about your clients and serving them the best that you can. So, you know, maintaining your competence and your professionalism by staying on top of the way that the law is changing and what the best practices are is just it just comes with that. So that's kind of how I would say I'm motivated, because I do enjoy, you know, serving my clients, and I try to serve them the best that I can. So that just comes with the territory.
That's good. And the last question I have for you today is, if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I was on my way here. I was listening to that the Billy Joel song, Vienna. I don't know if you know that song.
That one.
I think it's all in there. Just, you know, slow down. Just enjoy every minute, and you know, have those experiences which will that enrich you. But don't worry so much about doing everything perfectly, and just enjoy every minute of life, because it's all going to pay off in the end, and things will just things will take care of themselves if you do that.
Dream on, but don't imagine they'll all come true.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, I love that one. Well, thank you so much for coming on the job with us today, Daniel.
Thanks for having me.
Amazing to have you.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
That was Daniel Hildebrand sharing his journey and insights into the world of law and justice. His story shows that being a lawyer isn't just about rules or arguments. It's about helping people and standing up for fairness. Thank you for tuning in to On the Job, where we explore real careers, real people, and the many paths that lead them to a meaningful work. Make sure to subscribe for more.